Meteorologist Audrey Puente. Governor Christie is in Neptune, Ocean County this afternoon. He's about to update reporters on flood recovery in New Jersey. Let's listen in.
Operations here on the ground for FEMA, and appreciate Bill having me here today and all the hard work that he and his folks from FEMA have already done on behalf of the people of the state. I want to remind everybody that the President's approved New Jersey's request for disaster assistance in all 21 counties. As a result, New Jersey residents of small businesses in all 21 counties are now eligible to apply for different types of federal assistance, including temporary housing, repair, replacement, or other needs such as disaster unemployment assistance and small business administration disaster loans. Survivors of Hurricane Irene in every New Jersey county who suffered damage should apply for disaster assistance with FEMA, even if they have insurance or aren't sure whether or not they're eligible. It's real easy. Register by phone, 800-621-FEMA, 800-621-FEMA, or you can register online at disasterassistance.gov. You can apply through your mobile devices, your smartphones, by going to m.fema.gov. It's really easy to apply online. I understand from just speaking to Bill that we have community assistance teams out there who've been going through the communities from FEMA, and that about 30% of the people who have applied already have been put through the application process by these community assistance teams. So it's a great way for the public to get to know FEMA and for FEMA to get to know the community a little bit better and help along with the registration process. As you all know, I was with the President on Sunday for a good part of the day. I had the opportunity to thank him for his administration expediting the much-needed assistance that I just talked about, and complimented him on the great work that FEMA did here in the state, both prior to the storm and during the storm, and now in its aftermath. FEMA has already distributed a little bit over $3 million to folks on the ground in New Jersey, and so this joint field office will be fully operational tomorrow, and will be the command center for both FEMA, state OEM in the post-hurricane response. Representatives from the departments will be located here to ensure that we're all working together efficiently and effectively in a coordinated manner to get assistance to folks as quickly as possible. It's a temporary multi-agency coordination center established locally just to facilitate field-level domestic incident management assistance related to prevention and preparedness, response, and recovery. So now that we've moved into this next phase, it's critical that we're all utilizing all of these resources to ensure people who have been displaced from their homes and are dealing with the aftermath of flood damage are receiving the assistance they need and are entitled to. And so again, I urge people to call 800-621-FEMA to make sure that they get the things that they're entitled to getting. The only way to determine what that'll be is to register, and then to work with the FEMA representatives to walk you through your individual process. State government departments and agencies working on the front lines of this effort through the state OEM and FEMA are going to be DOT for continuing transportation issues, DCA for inspection and housing issues, Human Services for continued sheltering and other types of needs for folks who are displaced, DEP for the continued work that they're doing, Department of Banking and Insurance, and the Motor Vehicle Commission all will be having a role in trying to help people respond if they've lost certain documents or have other things that they need in order to recover from this storm. In the coming days, recovery efforts will also include the opening of county-specific disaster recovery centers to directly assist with the delivery of recovery and relief efforts to New Jerseyans. We encourage you to go to your own county disaster center once it's opened. There'll be one in every county. We're in the process of getting all of them up and running. It's pretty amazing that this one is up and running already as quickly as it is, given that the storm, just passed about a week ago. Also important to note, you don't have to go to a center in your own county. If there's not one up and you want to go to another one, you can go to another one. We've already opened a center in PASSAIC at the Patterson Museum on Market Street. We expect to have up and running centers in Bergen, Essex, Morris, and Union this week. And by the end of next week, the majority centers will be opened and staffed. These personnel will be available to aid those who wish to visit personally with a disaster recovery specialist to get answers to their questions. Lastly, on this front, home inspections are happening just about 3 days after they've been requested. So once you make the request to have your home come and looked at by FEMA, just slightly over 3 days, 2 hours is the average response time now. So people are getting out there pretty quickly to inspect. Over 460 FEMA inspectors on the ground here in New Jersey providing that service. Now, we're obviously monitoring the impact of all the additional rain this week. All rivers statewide have fallen below flood stage with the exception of the PASSAIC at Pine Brook, which was about 19.25 feet at noon today, expected to fall below flood stage, which is 19 feet overnight, despite the rain. But due to the additional rain expected, a flood watch is in effect for the following counties: Bergen, PASSAIC, Essex, Union, Hudson, Camden, Gloucester, Hunterdon, Somerset, Sussex, Warren, and western Monmouth. There is the potential for minor flooding in several river basins, though no river is projected to go to moderate or major flood states. So far, so good in that regard. Current National Weather Service forecast indicates the following rivers will go to action or flood stages. Flood stage, PASSAIC River at Pine Brook and PASSAIC River at Little Falls will both go back to flood stage probably Wednesday morning. And the action stage, that'd be the Ramapo River at Mawa and Pompton Lakes, Pompton River at Pompton Plains, Rockaway River above and below the Booton Reservoir, and the Delaware River at Trenton. A few more updates, and then I'll introduce Bill Vogel for some remarks. 242 people as of today remain sheltered in 4 different counties. Department of Agriculture is working with Human Services, USDA, and the Community Food Bank of New Jersey to move over 160 cases of food products from Vineland and over 150 cases from Port Newark to the Community Food Bank to feed people still at shelters due to PASSAIC River flooding. Food includes turkey, chicken, corn, peaches, good fresh food for folks who are still displaced. Of the approximately 850,000 customers in New Jersey who lost power before the hurricane, all have been fully restored as of Sunday. Now, I talked about this a little bit at the end of last week. The BPU is planning hearings for the end of this month, according to President Solomon, on the utilities companies planning for and their response to Hurricane Irene. They'll be announcing soon the dates and locations, but be assured the hearings are going to be held in the affected service areas to make it as easy as possible for folks who have things to say about the response of the utilities companies to be able to get to these hearings and have their say. The hearings will be run by the BPU and by President Solomon. He is concerned about some of the response that folks gave during the storm, and he wants to have full hearings that are both investigative in nature and also allow the public to be able to respond and give their information out. I've spoken to the folks at the Department of Education. They've been working on getting schools open as quickly as possible. Right now, there's 9 districts and 3 charter schools that are not opening on time. 7 districts are facing possible delayed openings. Most districts just have minor school delays of a week or less. Patterson and Cranford are the 2 that are currently most problematic. The Executive County Superintendent, Bob Gilmartin, is reaching out to Donnie Evans in Patterson to try to determine the extent of damage to schools. However, the waters are still moving quickly there. It'll probably prevent a full report on school status until later this week. Patterson will clearly open late. Cranford as well. The Executive County Superintendent in Union and his staff are working with the Cranford superintendent and neighboring districts to try to find suitable space for students at an elementary school in Cranford. That school has major flooding damage and expected to be closed for up to about 2 months. And so they're looking for other space in neighboring communities to be able to get these kids to school. Finally, our Business Action Center, run by the Lieutenant Governor, is providing business recovery assistance to businesses that have been impacted by the hurricane. As of Friday, 221 calls have been received. 147 were recovery-related calls. 74 were tourism calls related to the hurricane. Company officials are calling with a wide range of questions, including those pertaining to power outages, insurance claims, available state and federal assistance. And the Lieutenant Governor and her staff are working with the business community to make sure that they're fully advised of what they're entitled to and where the best place is to go to get it. Finally, the Department of Treasury is providing relief to taxpayers in disaster areas from filing deadlines for estimated tax payments, mirroring what the IRS announced late last week. So those who are required to meet tax payment or filing deadlines that fell between August 27th and October 30th will have a new deadline of October 31st. Those estimated tax payments would normally been due next week on September 15th, but we've now extended that to October 31st. The extension applies to income tax, corporate income tax, sales tax, employment taxes, estate and trust income tax returns, inheritance tax, partnership returns, S-corp returns, and excise tax returns. which shows you that we tax too much, because that list was much too long for me to have to read. Taxpayers have to qualify for relief under the federal IRS rules to be eligible with us, but it's a pretty liberal standard, and I think folks who have had records